Well, hey there, everyone. Kristi here, and hey, happy Twitter Purge Day. Kevin and I were talking about this before we got on air. And yeah, say hi, Kevin, to the people.
Hi, Kevin, to the people. See what I did there. See what I did there. Oh, I'm so clever.
We talked about, we talked about doing a regular hangout. The last time we did basically this two mates getting together at a, almost like in a pub setting and having a bit of a chin wag. In this case, instead of talking about intellectual things and interesting political topics, which we do sometimes, this is just straight up gossip sessions, just talking about the drama that's been happening. We're going to do that.
Yeah, that's just what the name is, the happy hour. I don't know if Americans have happy hour? Is that a reference they'll get? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I presumed it'd have something, but whether it was called a different thing, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's basically two friends in a fake pub, obviously, because we're not literally in a pub, just talking and shit.
Yep, precisely. And what the topic is usually going to be, because we make videos on more serious things, but this is just sort of a more in real time reaction to the last period of time since the last time we did this show of talking about things that have been happening on the internet that you might be aware of, might not be aware of. I think last time we finished off with Sargon being featured by Right Wing Watch, was it? Or no, the whatever group it was, yeah.
Yeah, Right Wing Watch.
That's right, because of comments he made in a discussion with Millennial Woes. And we're going to kind of pick up from there, but the other things we're going to talk about, the other topic we're going to talk about, and it's a thing because it's so complicated, is the Kraut Discord drama. But first we want to talk a little bit about what's happening on Twitter today in real time as we're speaking. And Kevin and I were comparing some of the accounts that have been blocked permanently from Twitter. So you had a couple that you had named, Kevin, that you saw. Do you want to give a few examples?
Yeah, there was both Jada Franson and Paul Golding, who were are the leader and deputy leader of Britain First, who Americans will remember as the hate group that Donald Trump tweeted out or retweeted 3 fake Islamophobic fake videos that were being Islamophobic a couple of weeks back. They've both been blocked, and rightly so, because they're both racist, fascist pieces of shite. So that's fun.
Yeah, and if you're watching Twitter right now, I actually think there's a few accounts that are tracking the Gab, because people who are getting banned on Twitter are going and complaining about it on Gab, and Gab is using it as a way to try to draw people into their service. So they're sort of feeding back into Twitter, people going to complain on Gab that they've been banned from Twitter. So it's like
and I find it particularly interesting that Gab, which is a right-wing circle jerk, I mean, not just right-wing, a far-right circle jerk, is accusing Twitter of becoming an echo chamber. Interesting.
Yes. The other thing I noticed about the enforcement that they're doing now, the new rules, so we can come back to the very far white identitarians, alt-right people, other groups being let go from Twitter. They're being pink slips. They're being terminated. Their accounts have been terminated. Was now I've said that and I forgot my damn point. It had to do again what the rules said. One of the points was encouraging self-harm, or basically it would sound like if you tell people to kill themselves now on Twitter, those kinds of tweets can be flagged and sort of be a black tick against your account.
I would argue, if you're going to interpret that properly, that anyone being pro-Brexit would be encouraging self-harm.
No, working class Trump voters.
Exactly, yeah. Just a bit of satire for you there. You're welcome.
Right, yeah, so that's what's happening on Twitter today. We didn't want to go on the stream without mentioning what's actually happening in real time. But the first thing we're going to come on to, yeah.
As it's happening, it's probably best to pick that up next time out when it's sort of the dust has settled on it. Whereas that's happening right now. Literally, the volcano is going up as we speak, which is fun.
Correct. We're reporting live from Twitter. No, we're not doing a live scroll, so it isn't really live from Twitter, but it is happening as we speak. The thing we wanted to start off with was this video that Sargon made, and it's in reaction to the article, the aforementioned article. It was, I think, high amounts of cringe. and just so many cell phones. And we thought we would do a commentary to it so that it is definitely within fair use. Kevin, I don't know if you want to give some impressions while I get the video set up. That way the screen isn't on me, and then I can get us ready, all queued up, ready to go.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to set it up without giving away some of the points that we're going to make as we go along. But essentially, it's Sargon being Sargon, really, just talking out of the wrong end, so to speak. Really,
all right, so you can.
His...
That's his thing. All right, so hopefully this won't blow us out, blow our ears out. I'll go slow, or sorry, go soft and get louder.
I love the fact that Right Wing Watch have got a War on Christmas section. I'm gonna have to check that out once we're done. That's fun.
There you go, advertising for Right Wing Watch. All right, so let's go with this video. As you can see, Carl is in the lower right-hand corner. So
Holt has published an article on Right Wing Watch.
Should that be louder?
A little bit louder, please. Yeah.
Yep, not a problem. We should be, if the sound is pretty consistent, we should be set now. So,
prolific liar Jared Holt has published an article on Right Wing Watch accusing me of being a sympathizer with the alt-right. Now, if you're watching this, kind of hate watching this, I guess, do go and post in the comments how much you love me, because I know you.
Sargon, that's not how that works. You having sympathies does not mean they have sympathy for you. Okay, you went onto the stream with Millennial Woes, and you said how bad it was that the right wing, that the alt-right had been blamed. Oh, I've been blamed for the terrorist murder that they fucking committed.
And raised the idea that Richard Spencer could be controlled opposition.
Yeah. Oh, amazing stuff. Yeah. I mean, real tinfoil hat bullshit.
And of also, course, yeah. Go ahead. You go ahead first. You're like, we're both like, all the things he said.
Yeah, well, in the past he's done this as well. The last, because the stream he was on with Millennial Woes was a thing that Woes does called Millennial Hangouts. He does at Christmas time, or around Christmas and New Year time. And he did one with him last year as well, during which he described the Nazi salutes that were being done at the MPI conference, at which Millennial Woes was a speaker. He described those as Roman salutes. Now, I'm sorry, Sargon, if you're going to act as propagandist for the alt-right, an apologist for the alt-right, to say that you've got alt-right sympathies is to be generous to you, not ungenerous.
The other thing he also mentioned in the article was it sounds like if push came to shove, he would prefer the alt-right pushing their agenda, even if it meant the end of liberal democracy.
Yeah, yeah. He said that they were less dangerous than SJWs, because apparently someone on Tumblr saying he might be racist is worse than actual genocide.
And can I just ask Kevin, did you watch his response to the Kraut drama?
No, I did not. No.
All right.
I've seen many response. Well, I've seen 3 or 4 responses to that, but I haven't watched Sargon's specifically.
Now, I'll just set that up by saying now, and maybe we can go to that next, when we're done with this, we can go to that video next, that Carl is saying here that he doesn't have sympathies with the alt-right. Just want to, that's sort of the premise, right? Okay, then we'll see what he says in the video we're going to show in a few minutes, and see if that doesn't sound awfully sympathetic.
I mean, does he actually start goose-stepping at any point? Because I wouldn't be surprised.
No, he stays seated for the whole thing. He doesn't get up and move around or anything.
Lazy bastard. He's even a lazy Nazi. Jesus Christ.
All right, so get back to the video then?
Yes, please do.
All right.
So much though, my alt-right sympathies. Let's do this. Carl Benjamin, known online by his popular persona Sargon the Cat, expressed his sympathies with racist alt-right movement this week. Did I really?
Yes.
Did I really? I was being sympathetic to the alt-right ones.
Yeah, it was sort of wonderful. I don't know if it's a fallacy of just personal incredulity. Oh, that's impossible.
Exactly. Your incredulity is not an argument, Carl. Your words, they very much were.
Oh, and also, can I point out that if you notice, he's wearing a Free Kekistan t-shirt while claiming he doesn't have sympathy for the alt-right, even though what he's doing is basically promoting an identitarian based on sort of whiteness and maleness and cisness and straightness and all of that. But no, he's not at all giving cover or mainstreaming.
But he can't be sympathetic to the alt-right because he once spammed them with gay porn. Brilliant.
All right. Yeah, and Donald Trump also has no sympathies. He said that there was problems on both sides. But that's another phrase we'll come to
And
later.
there what was the phrase you used? Very good people on both sides. Who were the very good people of the alt-right exactly?
Mm.
Please do tell me that, Mr. Trump.
So on with his incredulity.
Carl Benjamin, known by his popular persona Sargon the Cat, expressed his sympathies with racist alt-right movement this week. I'm literally as sympathetic to the alt-right as I am to the far left. And what did I recommend the alt-right do? That's right. Join the far left. So it's weird that you'd leave this out, Jared. But I mean, I'm not calling you a massive fucking liar, except I can't think of a polite way of phrasing that, so I'm just going to call you a massive fucking liar. Including,
would that be having the far right join the far left when they overthrow liberal democracy and put them under it? Is that what he means when the fascists take over?
So what the fuck does that even mean? Join the far left?
It doesn't make any sense.
Talking about it's stupid.
It makes no sense. It's not a very well thought experiment.
It's this token opposition he gives so that he can have this false sense of deniability. It's nonsense. When you've made your living off of bashing the left and you are sympathetic to the right, what do you expect people to think?
perpetuating alt-right propaganda that Heather Heyer was not killed by a car attack at the United Right earlier this year, but instead suffered a heart attack due to poor health. Okay, well, if that's wrong, I'm happy to correct it. Let me just pause what I'm doing and do some Googling. So I found this article on Newsweek. Charlottesville, Heather Heyer's cause of death has been revealed in a medical report. Okay. The anti-racism activist was killed at the white nationalist protest as a result of blunt force injury to the chest, according to a medical report that doesn't appear to be linked here. But I will take them at their word. Okay. The alt-right had lied. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe it. Both the far left and the alt-right are both a pack of liars.
And this is
the thing, Carl, right? Why did you believe? Why have you only heard of that theory and not the actual reason? It's because you hang around with nothing but alt-right scumbags and alt-like scumbags, whatever. Why did you believe Millennial Woes when he backed up that theory, even though he obviously has a vested interest in lying about that? Why did you speak out about something that you'd not done the most basic research? I mean, literally, that took him that must have took him 2 minutes to find that bugging article.
At most.
You hadn't done a damned thing to search about it, but you were going to go on to a known alt-right, not podcast, hangout with a known alt-righter who's got a reason to lie, and you're going to express that sympathy and believe him. And that's not going to get corrected on his channel now. So anyone who goes to that channel and sees that hangout but doesn't see this retraction of your claim will just think, oh, well, Sargon the Cat believes it.
Carl also just expanded on this lie by saying, oh, she was in really poor health and it was her fault, basically sort of implying that if she hadn't been in poor health, she wouldn't have had the heart attack when she saw the accident or whatever, when it happened. And that just, came out of nowhere. I don't know where he just got that information. He just sort of threw it in there.
No, that was actually started by Andrew Anglin, who people will know as the head honcho at Daily Stormer. He came up with that lie initially.
Right. So basically he's saying that he was duped by the alt-right.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that they lied. He believed their lie and was not sort of suspicious enough to question whether that is a claim that he should believe given their agenda or not.
And not just that, but like I say, why is that the only theory he'd heard of? Because he surrounds himself with the most reactionary scum. That's the base. That's his fucking friend group. Is just alt-right propagandists, because that's what he is.
But yeah, instead of saying, hey, you know what, I was a sucker, they got me, I totally fell for their propaganda and I spread it around, bad on me. Instead he goes, they both lie. And instead of pointing any kind of self-reflection at himself, he just turns it into, again, a false equivalence and saying, I spread a lie about how a woman died.
Yeah. And he can't just say the alt-right lied. He has to do the Trump thing of, oh, well, both sides are liars. It's not just that, oh, the alt-right lied on this occasion. No. It's that they're both liars. Because Oh, it's classical liberalism. Oh, fuck off, Carl. You're a propagandist hack.
Right now, I will say this is 9 minutes long, and we're only 150 in. We don't have to do the full 9 minutes, but because I think we're hitting the main points, so we can go end at any point, I guess, at this, what I'm saying. But I'll play on for a little bit more.
Imagine my shock. Getting back to the far left pack of lies, Benjamin joined Colin Robinson, known online as Millennial Woes, in the first installment of Robertson's Millennial 2017 interview series on Sunday to discuss the future of the alt-right. Yes, I did, as I did the previous year. And I can't remember whether I did the previous year, but I'll definitely go back next year as well. As first pointed out by leftist Twitter personality Tom Bloke, oh, the reliable sources you're using here. You didn't watch the discussion, did you? You didn't watch it. You watched his extracts from the discussion. I love it.
Well, hang on. What the extract from the discussion being the exact words you said about this that you've just admitted were false.
Yeah.
So where's the extract? What was that taken out of context, Carl? What's the context for you being an alt-right propagandist making excuses for far-right terrorism?
Nothing. It's just another logical fallacy. It's an ad hom, or poisoning the well. If this was, more about what Tom. But you're right. All Tom Bloke did was just clip, an excerpt.
And again, it's the Trump thing. Oh no, they've shown the words I said.
Yeah.
That's not lying. That's just taking the words you said and saying that's wrong. You can't get to call fake news when it's just things that are inconvenient for you but happen to be true.
Yeah. Yes, because you actually said them.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous.
All right, going on.
An early part of the discussion included Benjamin echoing white nationalist propaganda surrounding the murder of Hare, a liberal counter-protester at the United Right rally. Okay, so that's false. So I'm dealing with liars on both sides.
What's false about that?
Yeah, you just said that the thing you'd said was wrong. So you were echoing white nationalist propaganda surrounding the murder of Hare. Literally, tell me which word in that sentence, Sargon, is incorrect.
Exactly. He just proved that he was spreading falsehoods.
Yeah.
And alt-right propaganda. And then Tom Bloke got him saying that, and then they're quoting him. But that's a lie. As you were saying, it's Trump's truths.
Yeah.
Okay.
But unlike you, Jared, I will make the correction as I've just done here.
Yeah, but when you've just said you'll go back, you've also just said you'll go back on Millennial Woes' hangout. Have you called Millennial Woes out on this? Have you tackled him in any way about him spreading falsehoods about the death of Heather Hare?
Good point.
I can't see that you have, and you've just endorsed him by saying you'll go back next year, even though you know he's a fucking alt-right propagandist prick who will lie about the terrorist murder of an innocent person.
He also buried the correction in a video called Jared Holt is a liar. So it's not like he's making the correction the focus of the topic.
And that's actually a point I hadn't even really thought about. The point I just made to expand upon. Are you going to call out Millennial Woes? Because at no point during this video does he say, by the way, Millennial Woes, you're a lying piece of shit. At no point does he do that. He defends him a couple of occasions, as you've just heard. Doesn't call him out.
Will he go on his show and correct himself?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he should do the next time he goes
when an SJW lies in your eyes, you can't be fucking quick enough on the fucking trigger there, can you, Carl? But one of your alt-right friends lies to your face, backs up a racist theory that you were pushing, but no, not a race, defense of white nationalist fucking terrorism that you were pushing, and you've not said a word in condemnation of Millennial Woes. It's almost like you're, what's the word I'm looking for? Sympathetic towards your client?
I think that's the word you're looking for. All right, on with the video.
Nothing. You'll carry on lying because you're a giant fucking liar.
Now this, I can't. I think we're basically done at this point. I can't put up with this anymore because it is literally just Trump looking at the truth, screaming fake news.
Yeah.
It's I want to scream at him. And it's I'm not wasting my time listening to this wanker again. It's ridiculous.
All right, so you made it to under 3 minutes. So there we go. We're gonna end the commentary there. That's definitely
we made it over half a Sargon, so that's
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's. I think
That's
the
the
next
point,
one.
Carl. Carl, can't you keep your videos to under 5 minutes? What's
For fuck's sake.
bit hypocritical of you there, mate? What's going on there? Fucking hell.
All right, so let's, while we're here at the Thinkery, let's go ahead and do the other one. This is the one that he just put up about the Kraut drama, and this was much shorter.
Oh, that one.
I guess I also knew.
Well done. Is that
And
420 as well?
20, yes.
Blaze it.
And now I'm all distracted by the 420, right? I know it's just a coincidence, but right. So what I wanted.
So he's using as one of his sources his little pet gimp V. Brilliant, awesome.
When he summarizes this, he really doesn't know very much about it, and he didn't really bother. Surprise, surprise.
Considering we've just listened to him talk about something that he had no fucking idea about, and all year he's been spoken about, oh, Hitler lived in Argentina, and 9/11 was, how did 2 buildings fall from 1 plane, blah, blah, blah. He talked about it without possibly knowing anything about it.
You've gone quite Dalek in that last video segment. So if you could drop out and join back.
Am I? Yeah. Am I back?
You're not back, but you're still very Dalek-like, and I'm getting an echo.
Okay, I'll drop out and come back in.
All right. British internet service. It's a bit lame. Right, so as long as I've got you, I want to wait for Kevin, obviously, to play the video. So I will say a bit about background about how I found out about the Kraut drama. Wow, I'm probably going to stumble over that a few times tonight. The thing is, I saw that there was a kerfuffle on Twitter, sort of through people discussing it. And I wasn't following it, and I didn't really see any video clips about it. But on Sunday in Germany is shops closed day, as in restaurants are open and some corner shop kiosks are open and ice cream stores are open, but department stores, grocery stores, laundrettes, any kind of business is shut. So it's a good day to either go out and spend time with your friends, or if it's cold and rainy and wet, to stay indoors. So I was doing my Sunday cleaning. That was my exciting Sunday was planned before my patron hangout. And while I was doing that, I thought, okay, well, there's a hangout I know associated with the Kraut drama. I'll have a listen. And I put it on in the background. And I'm not going to be taking any sides in this drama. I'm just going to call it like I see it. I'm still waiting for Kevin to come back. I'm going to stop sharing for a second, guys. Because he is still not back. And because... well, there were a lot of people doing a lot of hangouts. There's quite a number of hours of content to be gone through. So I haven't watched all of it, but I did watch, especially the live streams. Hey, Kev, you're back. Good to see you.
What a fucking nightmare!
I was just, yeah.
Sorry, just to explain. Before we started the hangout, right? There was there was 2 of me in the room, so you kicked one of me out. Right, and that was kind of a bit of a laugh about that, which then meant you sort of banned me from the thing. So when I dropped out, I wasn't allowed to rejoin. So I had to switch account and then come back in.
Oh, no. Okay, so now we know.
I'm banned. I'm banned from my own happy hour. Ridiculous.
I'll have to figure out how to fix that. Yeah, we were just testing out the eject button. I was like, should I do it? And Kevin's like, kick him out. And now we know. Bad idea.
Well, yeah, it's only just for this hangout, and we're fine now, I think. So.
Right. Yeah. I was just giving some background to our 56 viewers about why. So to finish up the story, and then I'll loop Kevin back in. We'll go back to the Sargon video. I was doing, the cleaning, and then watched a few of the hangouts for like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours into them. Some of them are 3 hours long, and it's just ridiculous. And queued up some other videos of different people's opinions. And what I've done is I've gone through my history and just put actually like all the things that I've watched. Again, I haven't watched all of them start to finish. Like Coach Red Pill, I got about halfway through. I'm like, okay, I get the gist. And he's just complaining at this point. But they're all there. So if you want to see what I've seen on this topic, you can go to that playlist. But when it was starting to kick off, Sargon made this video. Now I'm going to share my screen again. So come over here. And now we're going to...
When it was cracking up, did people understand what I was saying? Because I thought I made quite a good point during that Dalek bit.
Yeah, the ending point. Actually, I think we'd already moved on from your really good points, so it was only the very last thing you said. But yeah, was it about Millennial Wolves should also make a retraction, or Sargon Carl should go on his show to do that himself?
No, I was going on about Carl talking about things he doesn't understand, including, of course, 9/11 and Hitler having escaped to Argentina or some shit.
Right.
So that's basically the point I was making. It's a bit past it now, isn't it? But who cares? Yeah. I feel like I need to poof my hair up.
Sorry. Yeah, no worries. Let's see here. Let's hit. Nope, that's a different video. Sorry. There we go. Here's the Kraut and Tea one. That was one of the ones from the list.
Hey folks, so I'm just recording this from a hotel room because I did This Week in Stupid Live today, and apparently there's been a huge drama with Kraut and JF regarding Kraut encouraging someone to flag his video or something, or someone did it regardless of, I don't know. I don't know. I've been out of the loop because I've been busy with IRL stuff. And everyone's asking me, are you going to mirror JF's videos? I don't. But I'm not. I'm going to take down my mirror of Kraut's video. I don't want to be involved in this drama anymore. I don't know who's right, I don't know who's wrong, and I don't care. I don't really approve of behavior on both sides, but I approve of Kraut's behavior less. I think that he's been culture warrioring it up at the alt-right, which I don't think is appropriate because they're not really a valid target.
Because they're not really a valid target, is what he says.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't think it's appropriate because you like the alt-right, you prick. You don't think they're appropriate targets because you like the alt-right, you prick.
Getting on with it? Yep.
That kind of thing. Bad tactics, only bad targets either. Tactics, and I believe Kraut has been engaging in some of them. But also, there are times when things are justified, and going against the alt-right like this isn't justified. They're not capable of doing anyone any serious damage.
Oh,
he's saying that.
You're so full of shit.
Yeah.
You literally
after just made a video about Heather Heyer. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Fuck off, Carl.
Just the
how many SJWs have killed people?
It's astounding. And, you know, the other thing that I'm going to unpack is the fact that he has no idea what this is about. This whole both sides are to blame is just because he really has no idea what's going on and he wants to look centrist, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why he made this video considering that he's just talking shit from start to end.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting on. We don't have to watch the whole of it, but there's a bit more. So
they can't. They're powerless. It's not appropriate to do this.
They're powerless. And I told them the sympathetic ear of the President of the United States. What do you mean they're fucking powerless? You fucking moron.
But he's not sympathetic to the alt-right, Kevin. He's not like, you know,
he's not. No,
covering for him.
And it's not as if he was one of the ringleaders of a gang that was pushed right by Milo and himself, I suppose, and Breitbart. You know, the Gamergate thing. I don't know if you saw that. The Steve Bannon came out and basically made cunt.
All right, let's power through this because it's the last video that we have, and then we can talk about the Kraut stuff, unless it was particular. Or there's actually some V stuff that we could look at there and Croach Red Pill, but we don't have to. So.
Told Kraut this many times. There's no point digging up like people's pasts in the alt-right. I mean, I don't assume that race realists have got flawless pasts, and like alt-right race, like the people from the alt. I don't assume people who join the alt-right have clean pasts, and I don't care. It's irrelevant. I mean, I don't even care about whether the SJWs do or not, except it is entirely because they preach this kind of hyper-moral purity that no earthly human could ever manage to live up to. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so I'm just really done with this drama. I don't care anymore. I've seen a lot of disappointing behavior on all sides, but I'm not going to be beating around the bush. And so
you're not going to beat around the bush. This entire video has been beating around the bush. You've said nothing of any note at all.
Yep. So it just kind of goes on like this because he doesn't really have anything to say. So that's
And really
those are those bits.
he really does follow the Trump playbook. Oh, both sides. Let's just blame both sides. Just muddy the waters as much as possible to defend the alt-right. But I'm not sympathetic to the alt-right, honest.
Yeah. I don't know how. I mean, it's just complete hypocrisy. Literally within days.
Yeah.
So I guess now that we brought up the Kraut thing, so I'll give more of the background because again I had the Sunday to catch up on it, and what I can say is that I'm not going to take sides in this. I have my opinions, and I'm just going to, like I said, kind of call it as I see it. But the basic bare bones before I give any color commentary, or other sort of like opinions on it, seems to me, if I'm doing this, if I'm remembering this and portraying it accurately, and I'm trying to the best of my ability to do that, is that Kraut created a discourse server which had its focus, pulling together creators and some experts from the scientific fields and maybe someone who was associated with psychology into a group where they would pool kind of like content creators' ability to make content and scientists' expertise in order to debunk and unpack and discredit alt-right views, basically, sort of like show the flaws in the thinking. That group existed for a very long time. There were quite a number of people who were in the group, but their activities, like how much they were actually involved, is, not exactly, like not everybody was hyper involved all of the time. In the last sort of 4 or 5 days, it seems, there was a release of information. Somebody had managed to get access to the group that was taking screenshots. Someone, I don't know if it was the same person or a different person, got part of a recorded conversation between people having a conversation within the server itself. So the screenshots and the audio were both released, not with getting anybody who was, like any permission. I just wanted to say, in terms of like how it happened, that doesn't seem to be the case by any means, and that created in some quarters, particularly the alt-right, and I think it was Braving Ruin who had the screenshots and put them up on Twitter. I saw that in a video that's linked in the playlist, that had a series of screenshots saying like who was in the group and some of the welcoming document and some of what they said were evidence that the group was a doxing group, that it was there to collect information on people and publish it at a later point in time, or collect their docs or whatever. And so there was this part of it going on, the sort of accusations about what the group was meant to be about, and several people within the group, like Jeff Holiday and Vadim, and I think there was that girl and other people who participated in these many hangouts, started to do hangouts about it and talk about it and debate about it. And then the general sort of right community was having a controversy in itself in terms of the doxing issue. And so there's a lot of, but V was, for instance, V was upset because Kraut had, there's no evidence Kraut flagged any videos, but the video with the recording, if I'm remembering correctly, was flagged down because if you look at the rules of service of Twitter, or not Twitter, sorry, of YouTube in this case, like malicious recording or recording without consent is a justifiable reason to take down a video. That is part that, again, I'm just stating the facts, and so that there was part of the discussion in that Discord server where Liz Reptile, who, if I remember correctly, she was the person who interviewed Cobalt Cat.
Indeed, yeah, she was responsible for your whole you falsely being accused of doxing bearing.
Right, sort of asking Cobalt Cat over and over whether or not I gave him the information, and he avoided answering, and then finally said yes and giggled, and she stopped asking. Well, in this Discord server, she's basically saying that that the video should be reported because it violates the rules. So V was angry about the flagging situation, and then Uzula was upset because Kraut called him out, or sort of basically insulted him in the private recording of the conversation. And so he made a video about how he's got this drama with Kraut. And Jeff Holiday got pulled in because he was involved with the group, but he doesn't have sort of like any participation in the conversations or whatever has been presented so far that he had anything to do with like gathering information, or in any way, if you want to call it that. Vadim also got dragged into this. And the other thing that I want to say now, and I'm going to move sort of less, so I'm going to move a bit more into assessment, right? From watching the video that I just checked out today, because I wanted to, before we went on air, I wanted to make sure I tried to get everything and look at it myself. Someone went through the screenshots, and I listened to the audio yesterday. And in all honesty, in everything that I've seen and all the discussions I've had, with the possibility of one exception, there was no doxing going on, because what it looks to be is people were putting stuff together like with videos and information and other kinds of things to sort of like debunk, to use as citations. It wasn't so one of the things that they showed as evidence was someone commenting about the fact about a problem with when you upload a video, part of the code includes your IP address. And it didn't have anybody's IP addresses in it. It didn't say like, here's this person's IP address, here's this person's IP address. It just said you could do it. And that was sort of presented as examples that they were going to try to dox people. That just doesn't like sound like doxing at all to me. It's just like, hey, there's this thing, there's this sort of, glitch in the bug in the system that's a problem, security bug, right? I know that, what's her name? Paladin. I keep getting the first part of it wrong. Aiden. Yeah, Aiden Paladin, I think it was, said that her picture was posted in that group. And she talked about the picture. When Kraut described it, he described it as a screenshot, which would indicate that she put her face on camera. But this is during the course of the discussions, they didn't really say where that image came from, and I haven't seen any screenshots with that image even blurred out. So I couldn't even tell you what kind of picture was put up. And if it was a screenshot from like a video or something, then yeah, I mean, is that really doxing? We can have that discussion. I didn't see anybody's private information, personal information. There's no evidence that that kind of stuff was even collected or cared about from the things that I've seen presented and the concerns people have raised. So there's a whole issue about doxing, and there are discussions of the content that they're debating about, which I'm less interested in kind of rehashing. But that was basically the sum of the controversy as far as I could see. I think Vadim was very poorly treated. He went on, I think it was called the Cunt stream.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of live streams, as I said, yep. And there was one person obviously there to just pick a fight with him. And the moderators, and not even any of the guests, tried to rein that person in, saying, hey, why are you bringing up this off-topic thing when we're talking about the Discord server? And they basically just sort of all tried to grill him and put him in a corner and they tried to Paxman him. A Jeremy Paxman move. I thought he was very poorly treated. And then later on, Jeff Holiday came on and he just said, I'm going to blow this off because it's Twitter drama. And yeah, that's kind of the highlights that I can remember with all the people that sort of have big channels that other people might have known about or care about in this case. And there's a whole bunch of smaller channels too in the list. So Kevin, your take on all this?
It's remarkably boring drama, really. There's this guy, Jean-Francois Garapé, who is, as the name suggests, French as fuck. I mean, that is the most French name ever. And the name writes checks that his nationality very much cashes. And he's a racist piece of shit. He's a race realist, kind of alt-right, whatever chap. And he's accused Kraut of being a racist, which Kraut undoubtedly is, but racist towards French people, even though he's racist towards everyone who isn't white. And you just think, I'm not sure where any of these people get off calling anyone the names they've called them, because they're all as thick as thieves, it seems to me. Outside of maybe one or two of the characters mentioned, like Badine, they're all at it. They've all been doxing and flagging, and they've all got fan bases that do that. And a pox on all their houses, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's like you said, the kind of the flagging issue and the doxing issue, and I think what people are mostly trying to hit them on is the doxing issue. And what I find, sort of, I don't know how the right word to say, astounding, I guess, is that while these YouTubers, right, like Braving Ruin and the other people who are in on releasing these this information, they dox the scientists.
Hello?
And yeah, you still hearing me? My mic is still going. I don't know if your sound is still working.
You disappeared.
Oh, okay. Right. Where did I stop?
You were going on about, the drama, basically. I can't remember the exact point.
Okay.
Right. You just cut out and I was reading the chat.
My point was that when the YouTubers or when the activists and the guys on Twitter were putting this information out, they doxed the scientists who had joined that for just thinking that they were being consulted on their expertise. And that dox has not really been brought up that I've heard in all the discussions we had. It's kind of one thing, like if you want to say, yeah, there's this Discord server and Kraut is in it, and this other YouTuber and this person on Twitter. But when you've got people who are just, sort of normies, and you want to, I hate using that word, but people who are outside the YouTube bubble, right? And now they're getting dragged into this. Where is the responsibility? Like if they knew, for instance, that it was Liz Reptile and Kraut and this other person they really dislike whose name is something like Zath or whatever, I can't pronounce. If they knew that they were having the conversations and they had that, why would you then basically put out the name of scientists and say that they're part of a doxing community? That's like one, doxing them, and two, and the whole thing is putting information out in the public, right? That's what they were complaining about. But again, when Kraut read off the list, it was like YouTube videos and other public things, and nobody disputed that. Nobody said anything about like, credit card information or home addresses. It was like the thing that one person said, it was the photo, and that's the only piece of evidence of doxing that maybe one can make. But again, the direction, the opposite direction responsibilities, I think is something worth talking about in their community as well, which is, when do you kind of like bring your beef? When do you hurt other people with your YouTube drama beef? And do you have an obligation to try to protect the identities of people when you don't have evidence of their direct involvement in anything? I think that that's a responsibility that they're not really talking about.
Yeah, and also, and this isn't the first time that's happened, because, of course, to bring it back to a man we were just talking about, Sargon did it with the random professor, didn't he? That was that supposedly hit the alt-right chap in the head.
Yeah.
With the bloke, and he did it just on, they've got similar-looking eyes, because his face was covered. And you think, I'm sorry, this is nonsense. You've got no direct knowledge of any of this, and you're just going to put this man's identity out there saying that he's a domestic terrorist when you have no evidence of it. It's ridiculous, and they do it all the time, these people. And essentially, I think it's rather telling of the sympathies of these people. Again, to bring it back to what we were just discussing, that they're going to have to Kraut now that he's giving some token resistance to the alt-right, rather than his usual shtick of lying about Muslims in order to defend the alt-right.
Yeah. Yeah, Carl pretty much threw him under the bus with that video when he didn't know what was going on, and both sides were to blame, but Kraut was to blame more.
Yeah, because the alt-right aren't dangerous, apart from the terrorist murder that I just lied about.
But we have seen like a sort of, since the rise of Trump now, 10 months in, or I guess 12 months in, it's December now, oh my gosh, you're seeing a sort of a lot of cracks and factions. You've had the woman question.
Yeah.
Within within the alt-right.
You can tell how actually regressive, not regressive in the way these fucking idiots use it, but actually regressive these people are. That they're having a debate as to basically whether women should be allowed to speak. whether it's remotely whether they should bother allowing women to have any voice in their movement whatsoever. Ridiculous.
I will say, though, on the one person who brought up a lot of complaints, quite hyperbolically, if I do say so myself, was Coach Red Pill, who really played up this is an organized doxing campaign, and because apparently he was mentioned in there or somehow associated with it, and apparently people were tying his Coach Red Pill channel to his life off of YouTube. And there was a debate there about whether or not that was doxing him, and if it was, if he's got an IMDb page and you take a screenshot of that and then you put it somewhere next to his YouTube channel in a group, is that doxing him? And I would just kind of found it was interesting that Jeff Holiday has very situational ethics when it comes to, when you've got your YouTube channel up and, you've got your name on it and you cite your band and your Facebook page has information and there's a lot of public information, and then someone goes and puts it together because it's public, and then you have to accuse people of having a deep conspiracy for someone that Barron called a known doxer and shit stirrer. So it's just, like it's interesting to watch, and Tim has pointed this out because Tim and I can disagree reasonably as to what constitutes a dox. So for instance, when a newspaper reports on somebody, like what happened to was Millennial Woes, right? He was speaking in public. He was a public figure. They reported his name because they're a newspaper. That's what they do. That's not a dox. Like newspapers do research and they report on events. So that's
and not just that, but I'm always slightly more skeptical of that claim when it's just an internet thing. But he'd gone so far beyond just the internet. He literally went and spoke at the MPI conference, with the big infamous one with the Nazi salutes, or Roman salutes, Sargon. That's moving into the real world of actual politics. At that point, you do become a public figure. I don't think you can expect anonymity at that point. I think if you're just a YouTube shitlord, I think expecting anonymity is at least debatable, at least plausible. Whereas if you move into the realms of actual quite high politics, because like I say, they have the sympathetic ear of the President of the United States. Well, okay, he wasn't president then, but he was president-elect then. You can't expect anonymity at that point. That's ridiculous. That's like fucking someone running for public office almost and expecting anonymity. Like, it's ridiculousness.
Yeah, and I mean, there were people who had this hardcore stance that, if you had taken, again, a screenshot of a guy's IMDb page and put it in that Discord server, which was a group that you had to get permission to join, then that was a dox. And just it seems like anything, this sort of really black and white, basically any sharing of information between two people. If I communicate information that's public to you, that's a dox because you didn't know about that public information before I told you about it. Now, that's a whole other conversation that we can have, but certainly there are people who have that position in the skeptic community, and then you have people who are like, well, it seems to depend on who the victim of, or who's making the accusations, or who do you like, rather than sort of real ideological debates grounded in good arguments as to why this should count as a dox and that shouldn't. They just seem to argue back and forth about the situational dox they're talking about and not try to generalize principles and then evaluate various cases in their uniqueness against those principles.
Yeah. But they don't want to be held to any kind of actual accountability. That would be silly. You can see that in things like Gamergate that these people get involved in. That it has to be completely atomized to, you can't blame me for this thing, regardless of what that thing is. As we've just seen with Sargon, it doesn't matter that he personally just admitted that he told lies, or that he repeated other people's lies. He didn't do anything wrong. It's ridiculous.
Right. Both sides lie. Forget that I lied.
Yeah, exactly. Forget that I lied, and don't mention that Millennial Woes lied and is continuing to lie. Both sides lie.
Yeah. And so, that's it in terms of YouTube shitlord drama. At least the stuff that, came across my radar. There might be other dramas underneath, but this is the current one. And it is very interesting to me the way that there's a lot of contention within the community, and I see them sort of defining themselves more and more and where they disagree.
Yeah. Well, actually,
and
you can see that in the Kilroy thing. It's a point I brought to Based Mama a few weeks ago, and it wasn't a gotcha thing. It was a literal point of, do you actually support this absolutist free speech bullshit or not? And clearly, she doesn't, and that's, I mean, it was obvious because she tried to avoid the question. If Richard Spencer had said he wanted to go, and he has said he wanted to go to that event, would you be okay to go? Would you allow him to speak at that event? And clearly, she's not going to allow the alt-right to speak there, because it's been there's been this war between the alt-right and the skeptics as to who's going to be speaking at that event. And it's incredibly funny, because they're now essentially trying to ban alt-right people, which I'm absolutely all for. I don't think alt-right people should be given a fucking platform. But if you're going to set yourself up as absolutist free speech and then go, oh no, these people with troublesome views are here, you can't have it both ways, okay?
Based Mama was part of the Discord server.
Was she? That's unsurprising.
I'm
Hello?
getting an echo now.
Oh, okay. I'll put my earphones in.
All
Apologies.
right. I can't talk because there's an
done.
echo. Awkward silence. Right. And what I want to say, okay, so you're good now. Based Mama was part of the Discord server group that Kraut made.
Yeah.
So not saying that, like, again,
surprised.
I don't think doxing went on. But in terms of like the divisions, like, there are people who are really coming down hard against Kraut on this, and maybe they'll get softened and their minds will change in future. But there definitely seems to be a whole contingent of, Coach Red Pill now dislikes Kraut, and Sargon is mad at Kraut, and it's just like yeah, there's a lot of drama on that side of YouTube.
Yes, well, indeed. Well, I mean, to be fair, there's always drama amongst any group of people, especially when it's a large group of people across significant divides, and you don't have that actual personal connection. I think it's much easier to get into rifts and stuff. But when their group is so centered around hate, so centered around othering people, it's obvious that this is going to happen at some point.
The other thing I noticed was, because I watched, live streams of people that I don't normally spend a lot of time with. As I said, I've got a lot of content from people I enjoyed to watch, let alone then people who irritate me. But it was very obvious to me how very locker room-like the Hangouts are. They're very, when people disagree, they can be very aggressive. Kraut was verbally vicious.
Yeah.
Telling, and Vadim, people were just coming, this one guy in particular was just come at him with sort of side swipes from absolute nowhere and insult him.
Was that the guy, the vaguely Scouse sounding guy?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, because I've been on that stream before. He's a fucking prick. That guy is a dickhead, yeah.
And it made it really awkward, yeah.
No one will know who I'm talking about there, but for those who do, he's the guy, the British guy who's moving to America. He's a fucking anus. He really is.
If you watch the stream, he'll stand out. If you watch the stream, you won't be able to miss him. But yeah, it was, and it threw off the conversation. Yeah. It directed everyone's attention away from the topic that the thing was supposed to be on. And it ended up, like I said, very sort of, kids all sort of jumping in on, just answer the question. Is it a yes or no? Is it a yes or no? Just make it simple, make it black and white, make it decontextualized, and give me the answer that I want so I can pwn you. In that particular exchange, it wasn't always like that. But I can't think of any Hangout we've ever done where anyone was like treated incredibly hostily. Even when Rez Please said that she laughs at Bering and thinks he's funny, some people were like, ugh, and I was defending her, saying, people's humor is personal, right? Yeah. So it's just such a different vibe about how conversations are had and how you treat the people in your conversations, and then also the quality of the discourse as well,
Yes.
So
indeed. I think that's probably a good point to end it on, and it's 54 minutes, so it's nearly an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty close to happy hour is about to close. Last call.
Yeah, please return your glasses to the bar. And have you not got home to go to?
Do we see anything? I did say we would look at the chat, and then I was completely not looking at the chat. So I'm looking at the chat right now.
Exactly. Well, we had stuff to talk about specifically today, so apologies to people in the chat. We intend to make interaction with the chat a part of this series, and we will, but we'll have to learn to actually look at the fucking chat instead of just
talking to each other.
But that's the thing, actually. I quite like the free-form nature of, oh, well, maybe we will. Who fucking knows? It's just we're in a pub. Maybe we'll talk to other people. Maybe we'll just stick to ourselves and get drunk and start crying about how terrible life is. Who knows?
Yeah, that might help. Yeah, well, you saw it yourself because I see you've been in the chat. But the Christians and the Kevinites, for the people who come to the pub.
I don't like Kevolutionaries, please. That's a bit right. I came up with Christians with a K, so it's
yeah, that's quite clever. Nice done, PS. I'm just going through, and sadly, like, because we did it at the very end, I'm not seeing much. Oh, someone trying to get my attention. Which stream was I talking about with Vadim? That would have been the cunt stream. Is that right, Kevin? I think that was the one.
Yeah.
It's in the. Sorry, if you go into my channel's playlist, I'll put a link in the description box below. But like I said, all the videos that I either watched. Most of them I didn't watch all the way to the end, I'll be honest, especially the one like maybe got like halfway through all of them, but it's in that list on my channel. So, but yeah, you don't have to go home, but you can't chat here. Thank you, Chris. So witty.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading through my fucking Twitter now. This is incredibly unprofessional. I apologise enormously, dear viewers. What was I going to say? Fucking hell. Yeah, the cunt stream. I've been on before. I was dragged into one that was done for Tim Blake's birthday, which is a bizarre one. And it's full of Americans and Canadians mostly, but there's the one British guy who's a dick. And they're vaguely unpleasant people, to be honest. And their fans are the worst. If you read the chat in one of their, I mean, you can't do obviously in a recorded one, but if you ever catch one live, their chats are appalling. I was one of their moderators. This is how bad their fucking people are. One of their moderators accused me of sucking every variety of cock in the world, basically. Yeah, I think that gives you some idea. And he wasn't doing that in a polite way, like, oh, well, maybe you would enjoy some Pakistani cock. And he didn't use Pakistani. He used a rather crude British shortening of that phrase. Yeah, he was being incredibly homophobic toward me, and he was one of their moderators. They are dirt.
Well, on a positive note, I would say there's awesome people in the chat. So like a shout out to Lance, shout out to Adam and Chrisiosity, Socio Equalizer. Hello. I didn't no. Chris is in there. Ashley's there. What was that again, Kevin?
I can't break with my tradition of being nice to people in the chat. I'm going to have to say I'm sorry, I'm issuing a fatwa against everyone who's listened to this so far. And anyone who will in the future. There we go.
Well, and there you go. You get hate from Kevin, you get love from me, especially Xander, who I see is in the chat too. So that's
good cop, extremely annoying cop. I think is the routine we've got going here.
I like delightful cop for myself, actually.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for your time and attention and watching all the way to the end of the Hangout. I have been Kristi. You've been awesome. Kevin has been awesome. And then all that's left to be said when I do this right, and this time I did, is goodbye from me and goodbye from Kevin. Say goodbye, Kevin.
Goodbye, Kevin.
Oh, but you know what? Now I'm on the wrong window, so I'm delayed. So I messed it up. I'm still without a perfect streak.